Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud.
And Scott Allwood. We've got some news, Vince.
Yeah?
Got some news for you.
Oh my God, lay it on me, bro.
So I created this show, The Vicious Challenge. It's a small town challenge, basically, essentially, where I get a bunch of people that I know that are willing to do this, a bunch of little missions, compete against each other for money and the ultimate prize of champion. We just finished another season. We actually filmed it last July, and it was something that I've never seen done before, and I think it's really interesting. I think you'll like it.
Really?
It's where I took 4 people that have competed in the challenge, brought them to our location, and they had no idea what was going on. They didn't know who was competing with them, and they were like, it's only 4 of us here. What the heck's going on? And then I brought 4 high school freshman girls to come and be their partner. But not only that, they're handcuffed to each other for every mission. So they're strangers. They have no idea who these young girls are. And they have to compete with them right away in missions in hopes that they can win this ultimate challenge.
Oh my God.
With this child, basically. But yeah, and before anyone asks, I get this every time. I say this thing, and I think it's the coolest thing. I'm like, no one's ever done this. This is a great producing thing that I've done. And they're like, how do you know 4 freshman high school girls, Scott? Like, what are you doing? I'm like, God damn it. Just appreciate the idea. But no, I know a lot of people, so I asked a person if their sister would be interested, who was going to be a freshman. And if she had any friends who would also be interested in doing it as well. I bring this all up because it's premiering on this Monday, the 2nd.
Wow.
So it's the first episode. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to edit. We had 6 people filming, something we never did before. So it's a lot of footage, and I don't know when the next episode will be up. I'm hoping to have them at least monthly, but they typically last about 4 episodes for the season. So check it out if you want to see something that's never been done before, people out there. Now let's get back to the regularly scheduled programming of the
Jesus
Battle
Christ,
of the
I just happened to
Podcast.
say there could easily be a Vicious Challenge podcast where we discuss that. Because, Scott, how many seasons has it been, real quick?
This will be the 20th one that we did in 10 years, but we did 9 the first year we did it because we were just so gung-ho about it. And over the years, it got less and less because we put a little more effort into each one. And like I said, we've done about 1 each time. This last season was the first one I kind of produced all by myself without the original co-creator, Tony. He couldn't make it. Because he has a child and a wife and a life, I guess. So he's choosing to do that, and I'm choosing to continue being that single guy that just has freshman girls around him.
That's the beauty of these high school girls, man. I get older, they stay the same age. We all know the line.
I just finished the first episode. I'm going to post it on Monday. It's super funny, and if you know some of the people that have competed previously, you'll kind of be rooting for whoever you root for, but...
Oh shit! Are we okay? Let me ask you this: Jordan
will be there. He is one of the original competitors from the first one we did, and he actually moved away to Oklahoma, and I live in Illinois. And I told him about this, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll come back." And he had no idea what was going to happen, so he got there, and he's like, 3 people. I came back from Oklahoma to compete against 3 people, but then we have another strong competitor who recently started doing it about 6 seasons ago when we restarted it with Kai Rezik. He's a really good competitor.
Yeah. Oh shit! And, all right. Well, anyways, fans, trust me, if you'll like this. I'm a huge fan of this. This is the whole reason how he got on the show to begin with. Where I was just watching every season that he made. I'm like, oh my God, I've seen you guys grow before my eyes. Little did I know that they made it all within a year. You guys had so many seasons, but yeah. Let's get on to the thing, right?
Yeah, sorry about all that, fans out there who are just looking for us to go straight into a recap again, and I'm bringing this nonsense. It's a cliffhanger. It's a cliffhanger, Vance.
Well, though, there's a bit of hesitation for me because 3 great men are about to leave. Well, there's 4 people. Jamie's about to leave, but every single time, let's just say the shit right now.
The 3 people I was rooting for.
Yeah, yes. The people that you're rooting for. The people that I like as people. Like everything that's left. Everyone who's there now are a bunch of assholes minus Cam.
Minus Cam.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, well, let's get into the shit proper. Vendettas, episode 13, Checkmate, or as I would call it, and want to call it, Tony time. Because Tony was basically... Isn't it Tony time?
Yeah. Leroy and Tony get into a scuffle.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I wish that happened, but it was a little less than that.
Well, the thing is, though, I've said this before on a previous podcast where I'm like, you know what? Tony reminds me of Leroy, where they're like great personalities, amazing personalities, but they're not reliable, you know? Leroy gets further than Tony, but Tony, he usually DQs and shit. It's mostly Bananas fucking him over, you know?
Right.
So... I don't know. But the fact that these two get into it in such a way where I'm like, you guys are the same, man. Just make out or make up and just like, you know, make out. Go ahead. That's fine.
No, we know it's on your mind now.
Yeah. But let's go. Previously, everyone was going to the running up the mile hill, shit.
They had a challenge, and whoever got the lowest time, girl and guy-wise, are going straight home.
Yes.
And the rest of the cast is changing location to the Czech Republic. Is that what it is?
I believe it's the Czech Republic because I don't think that's a proper title. Episode 13 Vendettas, Czechmate. It's Checkmate.
No, did I say Czech?
I mean, oh, hey, it could be our connection, man. I have no idea.
Oh yeah, it's probably the connection. And viewers, if you heard Czech too, it's probably just your internet needs buffering and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that we picked up some frequency where they're talking about some thing about the vicious challenge. I don't know. It was it really bogged
We were
down
talking
the
about
podcast,
something completely different.
You
all right,
bore
so
with
the
us.
people, all the people who are left right now is Tony, Zach, Nelson, Brad.
Oh,
Devin,
I thought you were
Kyle,
talking about the
Leroy.
listeners. They're like, after the Vicious Challenge plug, they were like...
No, these are the people left in the challenge
Right.
that have potential to either go forward or get sent home.
Yeah.
So it's all those guys, and then Nicole, Jimmy, Cam, Kayla, Cara, Maria. And they're splitting $12,500 for fastest, and that ends up being Zach and Nicole. Your thoughts on that? Zach has been a beast this season. I feel like he's been doing great. I wasn't too surprised that he won.
What about Nicole? Was that...
I mean, Nicole's one of the stronger people there, so it was either going to be her or Cara, in my opinion. And I was kind of happy that Nicole won over Cara because I'm kind of rooting for Nicole at this point.
Yeah?
When it comes to everybody left, because I feel like she has a chance to win.
Right,
Kayla,
right.
Cam, Jimmy, I just don't want Cara to win.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Real quick, if we're gonna talk about shit that isn't this episode itself, I did an audio commentary for the previous episode where I just watched it and listened and just spoke, and a couple things emerged. I really don't like Cara Maria. I kept on ripping on her the entire time for like every little nuance and shit, all the minutia. Well, I was just like, oh,
That
fuck
is such
her
a
and
great
shit.
idea.
But
I love that you did that.
Yes.
I'm just complimenting you on the idea because I don't have internet right now, but when I get the net back, I can't wait to listen to that.
Okay, so the winners, Zach and Nicole. To be perfectly honest, I had no time to wonder who could have won. It was spoiled on Wikipedia. Someone just wrote Zach and Nicole first place. I was like, what? And
Why are you looking up Wikipedia things, Vince?
They
you know
don't-
the dangers of the internet.
They very rarely put up spoilers, ever. They usually are respectful. They're like, a couple hours after the episode airs, then they type that shit up. But someone, I don't know, there was a leak. There was a goddamn leak.
There's a wiki.
All right. Yeah. But let's get into the slowest. It was pretty obvious for the women.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jimmy. She took the news with stride, though. Like, she's like, yeah, all right. Well, okay, yeah. But this is what broke my heart. I was just like, 5 seconds separated these guys.
Oh,
the last two. Like, part of me doesn't trust this. Because I think that they were like, well, it's Kyle or Devin's going to be last. Who do you guys think will be best for drama in the future? Let's go with Kyle since she's with Cara. So Devin ends up having 5 seconds off of his... Like, he's the last place. And by 5 seconds, and Devin said... I loved his interview right after they said that. He said, there are so many places I can beat myself up about where I could have made up 5 seconds. But I'm proud of myself for not playing a scared game. And hopefully I can come back and go all the way. And I was just like, yes, I fucking love you, dude.
Oh, for sure.
That is the great mentality, because I would not have that. I would be beating myself up. But I do that with anything in life at all times. That is my life completely. Yeah. After we do this, I'll go, oh man, I should have said this at that point. That would have been great. When I re-listen to these, I'll go, oh, you stupid idiot. Why'd you say this? That doesn't even make sense, Scott. So that's a great mentality, and I wish I was a little more like Devin in that sense.
Are you subscribed to my channel, Scott?
Yeah.
I say you unsubscribe because I don't want you to listen to this and beat yourself up afterwards. Oh my God, there's many mistakes. Many mistakes, Scott.
No, I'm going to do it. I like to torture myself, Vince. That is what I've done my entire life, and I will
No, I've had conversations with you before, and you say something where I'm like, you're like a tortured artist. It's weird, But I've never been a tortured artist who's like smoking a cigarette, like, yeah, I produce challenges, man. I'm like, that's badass. Now you're talking.
Yeah, but let me
usually
tell you
it's poetry or something. I hate it. All right, but yeah, Devin. Okay, the thing that bothers me is that the previous episode, they clearly spent all this time showing Kyle struggle, hardcore, trying to do the run, the walking and shit. They didn't show a single hint of Devin struggling at all. I understand. I was going to say, I understand that they have to make, it's the bait and switch. We see this a lot in the challenge.
If they're going to show so much of Kyle struggling, take out a few of Kyle struggling, show a few of Devin struggling. There are different ways you can edit it a little nicer to where people aren't blindsided by this stupid-ass result.
It honestly kind of reminded me of Camilla and Tori's final in Dirty 30, where they showed Camilla struggling the entire time, and Tori was just winning with Jordan, and so then turned. Yeah,
I think there was a 10-minute segment of her trying to put that puzzle together with Corey. Made me mad. All right, so we're back at the house. Do you want to go back to the house, or do you want to continue talking about that?
Oh, don't they just go to the Czech Republic after that? No? What happens? You fucking let us.
Oh, actually, well, in my notes I have it. They go back to the house. There's a cat, because I always got to mention when there's a cat shot, because they love to show the cats of the houses. And Brad, he's talking about how they are going to the Czech Republic, and he's like, "Yo, this is my first challenge back in a while," and it's ironic because he's going to a place now where he won his last challenge. And I didn't even think about that. I thought that was super cool. Back in Cutthroat, he won that challenge in Czech Republic with his wife, at the time wife.
Yeah.
But then they take off, and then they go to the hotel, and Cam's lying on the rug and rubbing it, and
she's a lot
being
of fun.
super goofy. Yeah, I'm glad that she's there. But I did enjoy in her interview. She's like, if I win some money, I'm gonna donate it to charity. Cancer, alopecia.
Yeah.
Alopecia.
Yeah. Where you're hairless and shit. And then immediately I looked at her. I'm like, well, she's definitely wearing a weave, but why? Is it because she has nothing underneath there? Are the eyebrows fake as well?
Does she have cancer? Is that why she wants to donate to it?
I know. Like when celebrities want to donate to dogs and shit, where I'm like, wait a minute, I look for it. I'm like, is it because they're a bitch? Yeah.
Did you notice that they did a clue? Because you were talking about how you loved the clues, and that you wanted to bring the clues back, and then they were like, "You got it, Vince. We got you."
It was so weird. It was like being an adult, and for Christmas you get socks, and you're like, "Well, I actually do need socks," but
I love that.
Like I don't. Yeah. All right, so let's get into the mission. Is that cool? Outside the box, because that's what the clue was. It made me realize when they got that clue, I'm like, I don't care. They could kick it to the side. I don't give a shit.
Oh, so now you don't want the clues? I mean, the clues never really mattered. The clues never really mattered. It never made a difference. People would go, I wonder if it's this, and it never was that. So it's I don't know. So yeah, true. Outside the box is the name.
It's a badass mission, right? I mean, it's a positive really in this. Like I am so right now I'm just so depressed that Devin's gone, but this mission is badass enough where I'm like, okay, all right.
You were just telling me that one of your favorite missions was the semi truck mission, right?
That was Dave. You bastard.
I mean, I remember all yours, not his. His were stupid. I printed them off and burned them.
Okay. All right. Well, outside the box, where okay, they're on the truck, and there's fucking pillars in the middle. I think it's badass. I think it's really fucking cool. Every time you hit a pillar, it's worth points. And then the fastest male and the fastest female, they split 25K. But there's no mention about what happens in last place, which is extremely bothersome to me in real time when I was watching it. It was like, wait, hold on, you didn't say, and it was just kind of like,
are you guys just trying to see who comes in last and then figure out something depending on who comes in last? That's all I could think of. From a person who produces things, I couldn't help but think that it was just so shady. You're making shit up on the spot.
Oh yeah, but the fastest guy and girl, they do split 25K and go straight to the final. But really, they should have been like, listen, all the girls get to go. You know, like that was a deflator.
The whole time I was thinking that. I was like, there's only 4 girls and it's like 7 guys. What do you mean? Why are you acting like all these girls aren't going to go? They should not be worried at all. Oh, right. So they are hanging from the side of the truck.
Right.
And then when the truck is going at 50 miles per hour, they have to like jump from the truck to a little platform that they can hold on to in order to avoid this pillar. And the pillar, if you hit it, is 9 points, and the next one's 8 points, and the next one and so forth is down to 1 point. And you don't want to get points, is what TJ says.
First of all, as a producer, do you agree that the further you get, the lesser the points value?
I thought that was really strange.
Strange.
I would never set it up like that. I would maybe go 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. If anything, definitely not highest to lowest. Lowest to highest makes the most sense.
It does. It totally does. Okay, so on to Zach and Leroy. They're the first to go, and this is their first round. I'm talking about Zach because Leroy only goes once. Why? Because he fucking dangles in the middle. He gets caught the middle.
That was so funny.
He gets hit by a pillar. -4 points. What about Zach? Zach does pretty good.
Zach gets 0 points. He does great. And I liked his little interview he did before this. He mentions how he's coaching basketball, and you got to try your best at every moment. And Leroy, you got to mention that he has no money still, so he needs to win this or something.
Yeah, he has not won a single damn mission this entire season.
He mentioned in this, he's like, well, as long as I get to the final, I'm fine with it, though. And I'm like, what? What the hell do you mean? No. What kind of mentality is that? This is why Nelson should have... No, Nelson doesn't think like that. You see how depressed he was when he left?
He was.
Dude, he was bummed. Leroy would have been like, I tried to get to the final. Oh, well. See you next season. Anyway, sorry. So Nelson and Kyle are up next.
Yes. Kyle does great. Zach says, like, this whole thing, like, I'm bad at missions and I'm bad at blah, blah, blah. It's an act. And in fact, that's just the beginning of people talking about Kyle, like, this guy's not real. Like, it's a big show, you know? Because remember, Leroy's going to say that up to Karsh. Yeah. He's like, he's been playing you the whole time.
I love that. I love that moment.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy,
but,
man.
Agreed. I don't, like, people keep saying this about him every single mission. Then get the fuck rid of him, you idiots. But Nelson, my boy, is sitting over there being a doofus. On the second one, he mixes up on what to go in or to go out, and then he makes it harder on himself. Actually, he like goes in between 2 feet of room between him and the truck and this pillar, and gets 7 points off for it.
Negative, yeah. It's called a transfer failure, and it's -7. And spoiler alert. Other people will get a transfer failure, but it will never be a -7. It'll be -4 or a -3 tops. It's crazy.
Right, because he did it on the second or the third pillar, because it was 9, 8, 7. So it was that third one he messed up.
That is,
this is why it should have been lowest to highest. Why people are getting 4? They should be getting 6 points at the end there. Like at the end when you're going through it. Ugh. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh my God, it'll haunt me. But yeah, Nelson has the -7. On to Brad and Tony. Brad and Tony's first round was perfectly fine.
Both did great.
They were great. Nicole and Cam. Nicole did great. in her celebration, she was hanging there. She's like, yes, yes, she was so like, whoa, turn it down a little bit. And I'm sure if she hears me commenting, she's like, what? You know, sorry, I got more testosterone than you do in your whole fucking body, Vince. But I'd be like, well, that's not my problem with you, really. You're a cat. I described you as a cat. I'm allergic to cats. Whatever. All right. But Cam, meanwhile, she gets hit by a pillar, -4 points. Now, the thing that bothers me is that either way, you would think that getting hit is way more points than just avoiding it in some cool way, you know?
Right, I agree. I think that should have been something, because they destroy these things. They have to reset this stuff. It probably took a good 40 minutes to reset up another one of these things. They don't look tiny.
Yeah.
They're huge. And they got a bunch of dust in them that's spewing out.
Yeah, blue and red dust. That was kind of cool.
I don't want to be the cleanup. I don't want to be the cleanup team on that. You know they got to clean up that road, Vince.
That's probably why the cleanup team was like, they should have argued more for it. They're like, listen, if you avoid hitting our pillars, it's not as many points. But if you knock our goddamn pillars down, there's 40 goddamn minutes to push this shit back up. Yeah, they should have argued more. The production. I mean, the crew, anyways. Okay, so next we have Kayla and Cara Maria. They both do just fine the first round.
Yeah, they both hit a point each. Cara got 4 points, and then Kayla got 2.
Oh, you're going into the second round already.
No, did I?
Yeah, the first round they both didn't hit shit.
You're right. Sorry. Yeah, I scrolled down too far in my notes. Spoiler alert.
No. Oh, everything's ruined. All right. Well, let's get into Zach's. I don't know.
They have to do it again.
You have notes?
Yeah, I mean they have to go again, and they have to go a lot quicker. Nicole actually struggles pretty hard this time, and you can tell that the truck is going super fast. Everyone has to do it again that did not come in last. But
right.
So yeah, this truck is flying by, and she ends up hitting 4 and a 1, getting 5 points.
Yep.
And then Cara and Kayla go, and as previously heard, Cara gets a 4, Kayla gets 2. Then Kyle and Zach go, they both get 5. So it's
transfer failures for both of them. Not just, 5, but like -4 and -4 for the transfer failure. Again, it just bothers me that.
And then Tony and Brad go, and I don't know what happened to Brad this time. They both did great last time, and this, well, I guess it's just going so much faster, but Brad hits a 7.
Brad hits a -4, and then he does a failure transfer and gets a -3. And Tony, his only docs is the transfer failure -4. So, yeah, and that's the end of it, right?
Yeah, they were just looking for someone who would get the least amount of points, and they ended up getting that with Kayla and Tony. They are the mission winners.
Yes, of the guy and the girl. It wasn't like
right.
First place and second place, because then TJ's like, and then you guys are part of a troika, so we're gonna take third place overall. Cara Maria.
How mad did this make you? How mad did that make you? The whole season we've been saying that's how it should have been. And any other time they would have went, all right, Kayla and Tony, go ahead and pick whoever you want to be in the troika with you. Yeah. And now they're like, all right, third place, go ahead and get in there.
Yeah, I mean, now they're doing it right, but there's so many things that are wrong about this whole thing. I don't know. I mentioned previously in other episodes how I'm like, oh, I felt something, and now it's been kind of gone, or it's been...
This episode I loved. This whole episode, I was like, yeah, yeah.
Jesus Christ. We lost
I was standing
Devin.
up just like,
oh my God.
It was a great episode, though. Like, I'm pissed that we lost all my favorite people, but that was my last time I was going to see him, Vince. I'm going to enjoy every last second I get with them. Right. Unlike you, just sitting over there sobbing in your chair.
Yeah, that's true. All right, I'll be more optimistic. So now, oh yeah, TJ's like, all right, so we have 6 guys, 4 girls. We have way too many guys as a cast. So
which is their own fault. Sorry, they didn't get beat by the mercenaries. Why are they getting punished for this? Sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. No, exactly. That's exactly how I feel. I'm like, listen, you know what, Nelson? fought to a draw with Darrell. But since he won that means you have more cast than you wanted at the end. So you guys are just going to make up whoever comes in last place is gone.
Hey, maybe next time don't have this stupid mercenary shit then. I love seeing the people we got to see, but it was fucking stupid at the end of the day if you don't want people to have more people than what you wanted.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so this is where he's like, okay, so the last guy, whoever did the worst, and that is Nelson. My heart fell out of my fucking chest onto the floor. I was just, again, this is like, really, I was barely feeling better about Devin, and then Nelson goes, dude. It was terrible.
For another just last place thing.
Yeah.
The girls all get to go to the final, yippee dippy.
Oh yeah, all the women. Teacher's like, all the women go and shit. I wonder if some of the women were like, listen, man, I would rather just go to the final than get hit by these giant pillars. Didn't Kyle say he was in agony when he got hit?
Yeah, he was saying it hurt real bad.
He said agony.
He also seems like a pussy, so.
Okay.
Okay, so Zach, Tony, Kayla, and Cara Maria have to decide who is 3 guys who are going to elimination. 1, this shouldn't even be a fucking thing. If Nelson had to go home directly, Leroy is then last place. Why is he not going straight into elimination?
That is absolutely true. I'm just so used to.
Instead, they do this weird
rules.
thing where they save someone instead of him going to elimination and then deciding out of 2. I don't know. It's fucking ridiculous. But Brad is sitting there in his interview. He's like, for a second, I'm thinking like Tony might evaluate that Zach is his toughest competition and send him against Leroy, but Brad's already feeling like nothing good is going to come from them being in the Troika.
Yeah, it's a different challenge now, Brad. It's all full of shit. Okay, so the Trioca. Oh, okay. So this was the craziest part. This is another instance why I didn't really like this episode, because it's just an overall headache. Where it's Cara Maria, Kayla, and Tony, and Tony's like, "Listen, I gotta get."
He does mention that, yeah. He does mention how he wants to get rid of him.
Yes, and then Cara and Kayla were like, "Well, too bad, because we want to work with him in the final. So, sorry, not sorry. Hashtag bitches." And then what was great is after that moment, they go up there and Tony's like, okay, well, we decided to save Zach. Leroy in his confession was like, you were a goddamn bitch, man. So you could pull the trigger on Bananas, but not Zach? Well, sorry, Leroy, but he tried to. He just could
yeah,
not.
He literally tried. You weren't over there, Leroy. You don't know.
But the overall headache that I just was talking about before is that Cara and Kayla think that they're running with Zach. You know what I mean? When really they're running against him. Because there's only one winner. We don't get told this episode. I felt that this was the best time to include that little bit of information, that groundbreaking information. I'm so mad. Console me, Scott. Now what happens?
Well, let's check my notes.
It's not good enough. But no, they pick. No, I just have the Inquisition is next.
Yeah, that's what I have too. Inquisition.
Okay. Brad.
So
he pulls the "I've got kids" card, right?
I thought he went about it in a very gentle, like not overbearing way about it. He was talking about how he's come back, he's got his kids. He knows he doesn't really know many people in the challenge house, but he's hoping to build on that. And he's trying to get to know people and stuff like this and that. And, he's like, you guys know what I'm going through and blah, blah, blah. And, what else is he going to say at this point? There's nothing he is going to say that is going to help him. But I thought he went about it in such a perfect way that was very subtle. And he wasn't bashing it over their heads. What else was he going to say? Hey, I'll suck your dick, Tony. Please. Let me stay. He knows he's going in, no matter what.
Well, he could have said, and I'll lick your clits, Cara and Kayla.
There you go. Yeah, he could have.
He could have said Kyle,
he's like, oh, you want to drop the kid card? I probably got kids all over the place. I don't know. And this is like another reason why people should not be voting for him. Because I don't think he was saying this shit as a joke.
No.
He seems like an awful person.
Yeah, well, and meanwhile, Cara Maria's like batting her eyes, falling in love. Like, oh my god,
oh my god,
accent. Really?
Yeah,
come on, let's be real.
He even said something like, "I'm having sex with you, Cara. If I can't stay out of elimination because of that, what do I got to do?" Making you think like, oh, he just is having sex with her because of the game, of the show.
He says he's getting better as a person, basically, right? That's his big speech.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he said he doesn't want to go back to London and where he's going to be drinking in the pub and hanging with God knows who. I don't know.
Well, he basically said, I'm going to stop hoeing it up. You know what I mean? That he was kind of saying that directly to Cara, saying like, I'm
now that I think about it, he's like, if you send me home right now, I'm going to go have sex with other women. So you better keep me here, Cara, or Cara Marie.
Yeah, really. What the fuck? And then, but Leroy, when it comes down to Leroy, aggressive is used a lot in describing his approach. I do say I liked him standing up for himself, but it was sort of like, hey, don't do this to me. It was a little. Do you think it was a little too
definitely
aggressive? How do you feel?
I do think that it was. He could have said what he said in such a nicer fashion. He could have said it in the nice Leroy fashion that he is known for, quotations, that he's the nice guy. You know, he didn't even blow up this much at Camilla when she was, you know, calling him racist remarks. In this moment, though, like, I guess when you mess with his potential money, you're going to get the wrath. But he's like, I know we all have history. Would I do this to you guys if I was sitting over there? And Tony in his interview is talking about how he's feeling entitled, and I'm like, yeah, man, dude, Leroy has been totally that. He's been right into the end based on just him thinking he's... Case in point, Dirty 30, when he got voted in, he was pissed, and it was already like near the end of the game, so he didn't think that he should be going into elimination ever again, apparently. Yeah. And then I love this because Leroy's like, Kayla says, well, actually, Leroy, you have said my name twice in the game. And Leroy's like, oh, I figured you'd say that, but, you know, I figured you'd bring that up, but you said that your top people were Zach, Tony, Leroy. And now Zach and Tony are safe. I'm Leroy. Save me.
That was good stuff. Okay, so let's get on to the elimination and the nominations. Yeah. Is that fine? It's Tony, Cara Maria, and Kayla. And the first to vote, I believe it's Cara Maria. And
I believe
she says...
Well, like, they have to save one person. And they're not putting two people in elimination. They're each choosing one person to save instead of the other way around.
Yes.
So, yeah. Cara Maria. Who are you saving, TJ says. Leroy. Be smart, Cara. Like, how is that not being aggressive? And being entitled and slightly threatening. Be smart, Cara. And then Cara, of course, what'd she do, Vince?
Well, I mean, is she... Maybe... I don't think it was smart to put her with... No, wait. No, it was. Because if they're all versing each other in a final, better to put in Kyle. Although they're talking about how Kyle's getting better as a competitor and shit. It's so weird.
Oh, actually, now that you mention this, Cara mentioned something saying that she has seen progression with Kyle and not with Leroy, and that Kyle has heart and that she wants to run with someone in a final that has heart, kind of implying that Leroy has... I felt she was kind of talking about that Leroy has lost his kind of heart for the show. Like, he's not trying every single time. He's kind of taken the show for granted in a lot of ways. That's how I kind of saw it. Or at least I hope she was kind of taking it that way. Which it's probably just she wanted that dick.
Well, I mean, hey, you're preaching to the choir. Like, honestly, Leroy has lost that
drive.
Spark, that drive. Yes, thank you. So she ends up voting in or saving Kyle. But then at the same time, I don't know, we'll get to Tony. So let's get to Kayla. And Kayla is like, what did she say? She saved Leroy, but what was the reasoning? Was it cool? I don't remember.
I don't think it was cool. I think it was very boring, probably.
I highly doubt it. I highly doubt that.
I liked what Leroy said in his confessional. I thought he put it. Well, actually, sorry, that's Tony stuff. Wait. No, he's talking about how he hasn't saved anyone this entire season or done anything on this season, so he can't say that he deserves to be saved. But he thought friendships would help him be saved. He kind of said that in an interview, and I'm like, well, maybe you should have fucking tried harder in the season, man. Maybe try to save people. Maybe try to, like... Apparently, you should have tried better in your friendships if they're not saving you now.
And the person that he did vote twice was Kayla, right? And Kayla's the one
and
that
she's
wants
the one
to
that's,
save
yeah.
him. And he's like, you made a good choice, Kayla. Good for you. You know, I approve. You're looking for that, right?
Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Jesus
like
Christ.
I feel like hanging out with John has really kind of warped his brain in the sense that he does expect everyone to kind of fall in line with what he wants. And that's not happening right now, and it's freaking him the fuck out.
And he's on, like, every season. Like, Leroy is a goddamn staple of the challenge. You know? He's a name. Like,
he hasn't done anything since X's 2, which makes me mad at him. Ever since X's 2, I'm just saying he hasn't done anything since then. Ever since X's 2, who cares if he's on it or not?
Yeah, totally, man. But getting on to the, you know, to me, I said this before, Tony's basically like Leroy. Personality, but I'm like, you're not going to win. But all of a sudden, Tony is in his element, especially tonight when he's like handling Leroy's aggression with poise.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
I loved every second of Tony in this episode.
Yes.
From here on out, because Tony votes to save Kyle. And then Leroy, because he gives the reason, I want to save Kyle because, what the hell did he say?
You were too aggressive. You were too entitled.
Oh, right, yeah. And then Leroy is upset because he wants Tony to, oh, you better admit that, you know, you're picking him because you don't want to run against me in a final. You know that you can beat him kind of attitude. I like seeing this. I like seeing Leroy the fighter. I like seeing this Leroy who's not just keeping his head low. I like that he's talking back and kind of, but I just hate that it's this because he is such a villain in this moment. I wish he was stepping up for himself in a good light, but he's not.
This could be noted as the third time in challenge history, or in Leroy's career, that he has stood up for himself and puffed his chest out and blah blah blah. But they've been poorly timed or the wrong targets. I mentioned before, previous podcast, when he yelled at Jay and Jenna. Jay is like the tiniest guy that ever competed here. And then he yelled this season at Devin when really Tony was the guy who threw him bananas. You know what I mean? And then now this time, where it's like the moment you really have to be able to schmooze, if you will, be diplomatic with people. He's not doing that this time. He's like, fucking you make that good decision, you know? Don't be stupid and shit like that.
I would have never guessed in my wildest dreams from his season, of watching his season and watching him grow through the shows, that I would dislike him so much after X's 2 for these past few seasons he's been on. I never thought that I would be rooting against him. Like, I do not care if he wins this elimination at all. Like, go home, dude. After that tantrum, get out of here.
Well, okay, the thing is...
And also, I just love Brad because I want Brad to win.
The thing is, though, after all that, like, negativeness and shit, he's like, okay, he goes immediately back to Leroy, and in his element, he's like, okay, whatever. Well, Brad, good luck. And he spanks Brad's ass. Yeah, and Brad is like, what the fuck, you know? And that is funny. Vintage Leroy. That's the Leroy I like. The guy who's like, okay, whatever, man. I'm going to go in elimination, and I'm going to win. Leroy has a really good elimination record. Brad has an amazing elimination record. And the way the shit goes down is fucking heartbreaking. Oh, because shit falls apart for Brad. It's crazy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Let's get into the elimination.
It's called Headbanger. You have to bust through walls. Right? Two different walls.
There are several platforms. about 8 feet tall, standing in front of each other in like a line of dominoes. So there's 3 altogether. There's 2 on each side and then a middle one.
Yeah.
And the first wall they have to break through, use their body to break through. The second wall, same thing. And when they get to the third wall, the middle wall, each side has 2 like medicine ball shaped
pinatas
sized balls. Yeah, they're pinatas.
But
not because they have to smash these balls against this wall to then retrieve a smaller ball which is inside, and then next to the wall there they have a little tube to put that ball in. They have to get a ball out of each ball. So then whoever gets the 2 balls into their cylinder tube first will win. And
when this is starting, you know, I think Leroy tries to bust through the first wall but can't. Brad can't the first time, but the second or third time, he actually knocks the entire contraption down.
Right. I was like, how are they... Did they not plan for that? How are these things not weighed down by so much? And how is Leroy not knocking this over if Brad is?
Yeah, big props to Brad. And then that second, when the prop falls down, Brad looks over to TJ, and TJ's like, whatever, you know?
Because,
like,
yeah, like part of me thought, like, okay, well, now if Brad wins this, he didn't technically break through this thing. He's going to DQ. So I'm immediately worried for Brad.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so then he's like, well, I guess it's over. And he actually talks about how hard it is to hit this second wall because he's standing vertically on this other wall, or like this weird angle facing down of trying to run up this wall and go down to hit the other wall. But Leroy actually gets through that second wall first.
Yeah. Brad gets through finally. Yeah, and already like Brad's working, has an uphill struggle, so to speak. An up ramp struggle, because isn't that what that wall did? It landed up.
Yeah, it kind of turned into a ramp. Yeah.
Yes. But Leroy grabs just the one ball and starts smashing it. Brad gets through. He grabs both in both hands, and I'm like, yes, that is proper.
I loved it.
That is proper strategy and tactic. But what the fuck happens? Production's cheap ass pinata balls breaks in his hands. You know?
Yeah, the handles inside breaks, so then he can't like continue hitting them against this wall. He has to start digging around in there. So he's on the ground digging around while Leroy's over there getting his first ball. Moves to his second ball. Gets the second ball. It sends our boy Brad home.
It was hard. It was so frustrating to watch.
Everything that could have went wrong for Brad went wrong, and I'm like, why is this? Why couldn't it have Brad been on the blue side?
Brad has had some of the most amazing eliminations ever. Him and Landon, him and Brad, him and CT. You know,
him and Abram.
And honestly, Leroy versus Brad, I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like, say what you will about Leroy, say what you will about Brad, but their elimination records are fucking amazing.
And they're both completely strong competitors. Like, they're 2 of the top competitors.
Oh, yeah.
There, for sure.
Yeah. And now, for it to go down that way, this is why I wasn't sure how to feel. You know, I'm like, well, do I like Leroy? Because he won and he's good at them, but did he really win? Did Brad just DQ? But that's not even a DQ. What is that? What would you call that?
I have no idea what I would even do if I was on the production side either, because Brad literally knocked over a wall. His handles broke. It seems so unfair. I feel like I would have been like, all right, guys, this was kind of a wash. Let's go try something else. But then again, that's kind of unfair to Leroy because he did technically go through and won, and it's not his fault that other stuff happened to Brad. So if then we did another one and then Brad won, I mean, I would still be like, yeah, Brad.
I once made a challenge where people had to like take a gun with like little pellets in it and shoot at a target. And then you had to keep doing it until you made the target. Then you would go on to another mission, another portion of the elimination. Yeah. And this was the second time this was being done. And this particular challenger had the gun that was used previously. It wasn't reloaded with enough pellets. The other one had more pellets because the guy who shot it before got the target pretty quick. So this huge production oversight, this challenger in the second elimination grabs the gun, is shooting at it, and runs out of pellets. The other person hits the target pretty quickly, takes off. They weren't both fully stocked. And the other person won, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to have that person win. It was a terrible time. Has that happened to you in your series, Scott?
Oh, man, there have been so many issues over
so many times I've looked the other way just to let Jordan win.
There's 20 seasons worth of material that I'm kind of like going through every single problem that's happened. In Vicious Challenge 12, we had two guys with a soccer ball in their hands. They're both holding it, and there are two teams. It's a partners challenge. So these two people have their hands on a ball, and then their hands were duct tape all the way around. Actually, no, better example. Sorry, this challenge like 15.
He just wants to plug all his seasons, guys.
We duct tape people at the ankle. Every single person. It was a bunch of partners. I think it was So all these people are going, and they're running into the middle, and they're all in a huge circle, and they're having to run in the middle with their duct tape taped to their partner, and they have to go in the middle, grab a ball, go in the middle, grab a ball, continue to come out, and whoever got the most in this time would win. But immediately, two people, their duct tape breaks, because I was duct taping people over here, and Tony at the time was duct taping the other people on the other side.
Which is why he's no longer a producer.
And he had run out of duct tape and then just left it. So instead of making sure that theirs were strong, like a strong bond, he just kind of went, "Oh, I'm out of duct tape. On to the next person." And so those people, they did just come in last. And afterwards, I'm like, "Oh man, that was crazy. All right." And they come over and they're like, "But ours broke." And I'm like, "Well, we just did it though. So you should have said something immediately. What were you doing?" So yeah, I guess I just kind of went on with the show, and they got last for that mission. So I guess we both know what happened. We just went on. We just moved on, exactly like the challenge did right here.
But the thing is, we don't have a budget. We don't have the time to do all this shit.
True.
These guys could have easily said, "Listen, turn the cameras off. We're going to restart this shit." They could have easily done it. But I remember something about Leroy that I really don't like. He's a producer's favorite. They really want him to be a star.
Well, and that's why that's the whole thing with whoever came in last for this last mission was an issue with me, is because they were just seeing who came in last to see what they would do. I guarantee you if Leroy had come in last, he wouldn't have just went fucking home.
Yeah, I can see that, man. All right, so now Leroy, who won, who beat Brad, to him, he's like, "Hey, man, I'm the best and shit." He's like, I can't punch people because that means no money. So Tony, you're fucking lucky. And Tony,
which is fucking crazy, right? Fucking which is crazy that he's saying this shit. You got voted into elimination twice in the past 2 seasons, and you made it far. What the fuck are you talking about? You're going to punch Tony because you went to elimination once this season. This is bonkers, man. But yeah, I loved what Tony said right after they showed that.
Well, he's like, "I made you angry. You used that anger to win," and shit like that. And then Leroy's like, "Fuck you." I don't know what he said, but like Tony's like, "It's a game, bro." He's like, no, he didn't even say bro. He was like, "It's a game, man," because bro, you seem a little bit more douchier. But I'm pretty sure he's like, "It's a game, man, guy," or whatever. What do you say, Scott?
Let me check my notes to see if I wrote that in here. Let's see. No, I didn't.
You just have a big note saying, "Who gives a fuck?" Moving on. Brad. Oh, but this was the best part. Tony, again, this is why he's cool. He's like, "Listen, Brad is the third biggest guy here besides me and Zach." And I'm like, that is truth right there. Brad.
Yeah, he was like,
oh my God. Brad was my last, like when he left and the way he left, forget how he left, but the fact that he left, those three, Devin, Nelson, Brad, I wanted all those three in the final. God damn it.
Same. But Tony, he's in his interview, he's like, "Leroy, I hope you can move on and get past it, but I don't really give a fuck. We can let the past be the past, but if he wants to hold a grudge, then let him hold a grudge." And I'm like, yeah, sounds about right. because this is fucking childish, Leroy. Get over it.
Brad's leaving. Zach is like,
don't you? Leroy would do that in a heartbeat to Tony, especially after Tony made the movie against John.
It's true.
Get the fuck out of here, Leroy, acting like that. You know that if you were put in the position, you would have put Tony in. Sorry. Go on, Vince.
Oh, no.
Say your words.
The one thing, though, when Brad was leaving, Zach was like, goodbye. Looks like you're back to discount groceries and explaining to your two sons why you acted this way on television. I'm like, what? What the okay, A, how do you know how he eats? And B, how bad was he in this season? What do you mean?
I was just like, when he said this comment, I was like, Jesus Christ. This reminded me of the asshole Zach that had been hidden since X's 2. And I'm like, because in a moment before, he literally came over to Brad and like pat him on the back and was like, hey, man, like, good job and stuff. They showed this, and then they showed this clip. And I want to think that since producers and editors grab interviews from all locations throughout the season, I hope that it was way back when he was kind of saying other dirty shit about him, because I would hate to think that he's still saying that stuff about him at the end of this show when he had been with him a lot more.
Zach,
to me, real quick, if Zach is in any good shape or with kids or whatever in 10 years and is in any realm of what shape and challenger ability that Brad is in
and
in
the
10
record.
years, right? Come back in 10 years. If you do as good as Brad, then all right, I'll let that comment slide. But until then, fuck you.
But again, I go back to like, he said, well, okay, let's take away the personal dig. Whether it could be just fake news. He's like, yeah, he eats discount groceries. Like, what the fuck? But he's like, you're going to have to explain your behavior. What did he mean by that? Do you know?
I would assume just the Britney stuff, like him making out with Britney and whatnot because he has kids. I don't know.
I don't know. They probably
Zach has acted way worse. Granted, he doesn't have kids, but he should be way more embarrassed about what he has done in the past than what Brad did on this challenge, which was just hook up with a girl. He's not going around demeaning girls and saying stupid shit left and right. Brad carries himself well. He would never say the shit that Zach has ever said because Brad is the goddamn man.
Well, that was the end of the episode, Scott. I hope.
Is it already over, Vince? Oh, boy. Can't we just... We'll just start from scratch. All right, so welcome to the Battle of the Challenges podcast, episode 13. No, it was a great time. Hope you all listened and shed a few tears with us as Brad, Nelson, and Devin left. He gave me the strangest look there. He's like, why is he saying, hope you cried with us?
I'm like, I'm trying to make people laugh here. But yeah, I was depressed this episode, so I could see that happening. Yeah.
We can pretend the last episode was the end for us this season.
I thought this was going to be the final, by the way. I'm just throwing it out there. It was called Czechmate. I'm like, oh, awesome. We're going to have a winner. So I wake up at 5:45 in the morning, and I put this episode on. I'm like, time to watch a final. And it was
You thought they were going to have this many people and everyone just goes to the final?
Well, they could have.
You have better knowledge of the challenge and how it works than that, all right? You went by name alone, and that was silly.
It's called Checkmate. All right, whatever. But no, the thing is, though, Checkmate was the title of the Cutthroat final episode.
I wonder if they were doing a little throwback just because it was going to the Czech Republic again.
But just like everything in this Vendettas shit, it's bait and switch. You know what I mean? You're never going to get what you want and shit. So that reminds me. Subscribe, like, comment. I might comment back. But if Vendettas is anything, probably not. Yeah. Bait and switch.
If he doesn't comment back, don't take it personally.
I really don't.
He's off doing his own thing. He's got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, he's producing an episode a week for you fuckers. All right?
Yeah. Yeah, what the fuck?
You know what? If you comment, though, I'll probably end up liking it. I usually like them.
Like, so you're the one that likes the shit? God damn it.
Hey, there are more people than just me liking comments. I've seen like 4 people like a comment before. But I'll like a comment and go, oh.
Anyways.
Comment.
Well, this was Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud.
And Scott Allwood.
Goodbye.
Bye.